And well, guys, as Joe highlighted, that Nunu pick didn't really do all that much, and that's the first thing that you guys said when the draft was completed, because they had some pretty good picks coming in there, building a solid comp, but then those last two in Sona and Nunu, not really rounding it up.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the Nunu was supposed to do at all. I mean, Nunu doesn't have very good synergy with a Corki, for instance, and at the same time, how are you going to use it with the Z or Rumble? They banned out two junglers, Lee Sin and Jarvan themselves, and they wanted to first pick the Z, which was okay because they got the Z first pick. But if you only have Nunu left as a jungler in this situation, it just didn't do anything. I mean, you do have the potential to counter jungle. The problem is, you didn't have lanes who will be able to shove early on. I mean, LeBlanc Z, they go fairly even in the early stages. And obviously Maokai in the top lane, as we talked about, the very first few levels, Maokai can actually push the lane in here. So you cannot invade on the Nunu, you just die, and it just ended up doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, there's nothing to add.
Yeah, there's nothing to add. That didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, picks and bans, like banning out two junglers on blue side is probably not the best way to go right now, and then wrapping it up with a Nunu pick is just not very, very effective. That's one way to put it. I mean, he didn't do anything, let's be honest. He just didn't do anything. No deep wards, just farming his own jungle, taxing mid lane, and that's like the only thing I saw. And then
basically, yeah, I mean, so we had a good combo on the other side for Dignitas here where they basically predicted or had a plan going in from the start. As soon as Zed was locked in, they went for Maokai Rengar, so they had a lot of engage going into a lot of pick potential as well. If Zed is split pushing, which we saw multiple times in the game, whenever he tried to split push, we just saw an engage, and the team ended up dying, and Zed tried to run in, way too late, couldn't do anything. And then also, they didn't pick the Corki, which has been the #1 AD carry pick, simply because, okay, we want the Sivir with the Rengar, with the Maokai, so we let them go Corki, we take the counter pick in lane at least. They just ended up playing the bottom lane wrong from their side. Core JJ and Kiwi Kid. When you play that matchup, all you do is you push the lane 24/7. Corki and Zona, if they use abilities to push the wave back, they suddenly don't have any poke left because Zona uses the Q and Corki uses the Q. And therefore you can safely stand there, push the wave again and again. Instead, they started to fight. Against a Zona and a Corki, that trade you're going to lose, and also gave up first blood to Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, because it did start off really well with the deep wards, but then...
I mean, while it also went horrible in the picks and bans and Nunu didn't do anything, we have to actually give credit to Ace, I think. They played the early game pretty good for their part. I mean, they had like bot lane first blood, and then Corki was like 2-0, Triforce BF. Then they actually managed to group up mid lane and took the tower, which was really like advanced level gameplay, I have to say. You know, it's like super good.
Hey, the Nunu helping out there, anyways.
I mean, he's taking blood boil, I guess.
Yeah, he gets blood boil, so yeah.
There you go, I'm helping.
But yeah, Nunu got caught out, and then they got the dragon in return, and then that's where the game kind of completely snowballed into the other favor. And then Rengar, 2-0 or something at this point, already super fed. He went 2 damage items because he already had the super tank in the top lane with the Maokai doing well. First gank on Rengar, obviously, on the top lane in a counter matchup to help out Maokai a bit. And then at that point, Rumble couldn't really do much. And then, I mean, Rumble was still fairly effective, I have to say. Even if his score 1-6 doesn't really reflect it, he actually had like a lot of impact, you know, just from his ultimate alone. And if they would have, if they would have been a bit better in terms of like execution, then the Rumble pick could have done a lot more even when being behind. So I actually could have seen Ace taking this game based on the early game.
If we do have the same comps again, let's just say exactly the same comps for next game, except for the Nunu maybe, switch it up with something else. But then I would actually like to see bottom lane, they can handle themselves from Ace's high here. We just saw it before, they won the bottom lane. Mid lane, fairly even, slightly behind. Shifter played a good LeBlanc in here. He even had a small lead, and that's why he could go for Codex first, the cooldown reduction, and then into Arm Guard, which is what you can do if you are ahead in the lane. And obviously get the Arm Guard as soon as possible after, so you can survive the all-in. And then in the top lane, when your Rumble gets the Haunting guys against the Maokai, that's where your jungler runs to top lane and make sure you can now pressure this lane here, because what ended up happening was Crumbs would just come on Rengar, pop his ulti, Maokai locked down the Rumble, and they killed him, and they couldn't really use the Haunting guys for anything. I want to see the jungler go up there, press the advantage in the top lane, the other 2 lanes can handle themselves.
So actually, I think Zed did actually fairly well in mid lane, to be honest. I mean, I expected Shifter, despite being like, let's say, a better player, more established player, I think he could have crushed him, let's say. But Zed hold his own, but he did a wrong item build, in my opinion. If he would have went Brutalizer, like Cutlass, those 2 efficient items over like this buy, then I think he would have maybe punished LeBlanc a bit harder. And yeah, we talked about it before. It's like a bit too much of respect.
Yeah, it's a little bit too passive, and it gives the lane over to LeBlanc to basically control it. Yeah, she won't be able to kill you, but you can't return damage to her either. So Cutlass first item, if you want to have the all-in potential, which you should have, also helps you with some of the sustain.
Yeah. Finally, as we were talking about the items, we had a little bit of discussion about the banner of command going for Janna. Of course, everything was going well
And
for
the captain
Dignitas at
boots
that
on the
point,
Maokai.
and the captain boots on the Maokai. Would you go? You wouldn't go for the banner of command, did you say?
I mean, in this case, I would have probably like if the
Well, in this case, he could have built. Well,
you could have built
anything.
sort of the divine Janna and
Yeah.
just but
Rest in peace.
I just think that I mean Banner of Command obviously a strong item simply because if you have Baron and the minion gets the range on the tower, then it's super hard to actually kill that minion, and the only way you kill that minion is like with magic damage. And Banner of Command actually allows the minion to be immune to magic damage, so that you have to imagine like this big minion hitting the tower for like 15% tower shots, and you can't even clear it. Like if the Banner of Command buff is on it, it's out of tower range and it will never get killed, and then it's super. I think it's kind of broken, man.
It's pretty good on Janna. I mean, you have good AP scalings.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually a very cost-efficient item as well, even without using the Black Shield on this minion here. And it was just timed perfect. We have the Baron, we're going to buff up the minions, we have the Black Shield, and obviously Janna had 20 stacks in the end on the Soul Stealer, so a lot of AP for Kiwi Kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Great game by him as well. Well, great showing from Dignitas here in Game 1. We will see what the Aces High can pull out of their sleeves after the break.